Thank you. Now I will like to invite our Secretary General, Mr. Deepak Godbole, on stage to welcome everyone for inauguration session. I would like to invite Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal, who is Executive Director of National Institute of Disaster Management. I will request team to offer a green welcome to him. I will like to invite Professor Santosh Kumar, who is Head of Governance and Financial Resilience, NIDM, on stage. I will like to invite Mr. Devesh Srivastava, Chairman and Managing Director, GICD. We welcome Mr. GVV Sharma, Member, National Disaster Management Authority and Secretary, Government of India. I will like to mention that sir is somebody who is the apex person for disaster management at this moment. We were also eagerly waiting to welcome Mr. P.K. Mishra, Dr. P.K. Mishra, who is Principal Secretary to Honorable Prime Minister of India. But because of some urgent meeting today morning, he has conveyed his inability to join us. And he has conveyed his best wishes for this event. So, to formally welcome all, I will invite Mr. Deepak Godbole, Secretary General, Insurance Institute of India, on stage.
Good morning. Mr. GVV Sharma, Major General Manoj Bindal, Mr. Santosh Kumar, Mr. Devesh Srivastava, dignitaries of the dais also, because we have a cross section of people coming from different areas here. I would like to start by saying that disasters and emergencies have been on rise all over the world. There is a pressing need to share information about disasters and the steps taken to minimize the losses among the stakeholders in the society. Many institutions are working towards increasing public awareness, education for disaster risk reduction and planning, and NIDM being one of the most focused one in this area. There is also a need to sensitize about strict enforcement of construction standards, taking safety measures and meticulously following rules and regulations which would help bring down the physical, human, economic and environmental losses. It is a fact that the government and local authorities, the funding for reconstruction after the disaster strikes is often at the cost of development, because the funds earmarked for developmental work such as building roads, ports, dams, bridges, they get diverted into the redevelopment and reconstruction of the disaster affected infrastructure. So in short, though the government and local authorities rush to the help of those who have lost their land, their people, their livelihood, but then there is the other side of it, is that they are going to actually lose some more development that otherwise would have come in, and that's where the insurance can play an important role. It can provide financial protection to insureds, limiting the economic hardship after a disaster, both to the affected and the governments and local authorities. Insurance and reinsurance should be effectively used in disaster financing, and beyond the facilitation of the post-disaster funding, insurance companies could also incentivize risk reduction through offering benefits in the cost to the buyers of insurance through offering the good risk feature discounts. So actually insurance companies are in the business of risk and risk management, and they definitely can play a very important role in disaster risk management as also the post-disaster funding. Education on disaster management is a cost-effective risk management tool, be it pre or post-disaster. Effective and efficient teaching and learning strategies is necessary to increase the effectiveness of preparedness and post-disaster activities at different levels of the community. Academia and educational institutions are expected to make available educational resources and cooperate and coordinate with various stakeholders involved in disaster risk management and post-disaster management activities. Now, this was the background with which today we are here, that Insurance Institute of India was in talking to NIDM, and we were trying to say that many different agencies are putting their efforts into disaster risk management and post-disaster funding, but there is a pressing need that we get all of them together, and it was thought that today we'll be here to know the kind of ideas or the kind of work that all the institutions are doing, and together how we can battle it out. A few things about the Insurance Institute of India, established in 1955. This is a unique entity that acts as a federation of federations. The Insurance Institute has its associated institutes spread all over the country, and through the associated institutes, the Insurance Institute maintains a connect with the community round the year by holding awareness programs, workshops and seminars for school students, college-going youth and other members of the society. The message of insurance as a risk management tool is reached in the corners of the country by highlighting the possibility of hardship that suffered due to unforeseen events happening, such as loss of the bread earner in the family, loss to the property due to flood, fire and such other eventualities. So this institute keeps doing these efforts to enlighten the society on what is the role of insurance and how with a small amount contributed by a large number of people could help get a small number of unfortunate people to come back to action through the process of insurance. Apart from these actions, Insurance Institute of India conducts classroom trainings in different areas of risk and insurance management, and it also organizes workshops and seminars so as to bring different stakeholders together to understand the topics, listen to subject experts and interact with them. And what we do here is that we try to pick up as to what is the most important, what is the most lively kind of a thing that the society would like to know when they come together to interact. So just to give a brief, in the recent past, we did conduct a seminar on deposit insurance, because that was a hot topic as to what would happen to people's money if the bank doesn't continue for a long time. We also have seen that the risk-based capital is one issue that is going to come up very soon for the Indian insurance industry also, and therefore we conducted very recently one more seminar on the risk-based capital, and maybe I am happy to see that in this on this day we are all here to also discuss and try to understand about the disaster risk and how to handle it. National Institute for Disaster Management has been doing excellent job in planning and execution of disaster relief related activities, and Insurance Institute of India is proud to support these activities and assures its full support through sensitizing risk owners and risk managers, that is insurance and reinsurance industry participants, to realize the role of insurance in disaster mitigation. I have the pleasure and honor to welcome distinguished participants from academia, central and state governments, local authorities and insurance and reinsurance companies who have assembled for this workshop today. I am confident that by end of the day we would enrich ourselves with a good amount of new learning, and that is what I look at this day. We will say that this will be only a starting point. Insurance Institute of India promises that we will remain to be a long-term connect between all the stakeholders and with the ministries who are actually working hard to give this kind of a support to the people who get affected due to natural disasters. Once again, welcome and make the best of this day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I will like to request Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal, ED, National Institute of Disaster Management, to start the session.
Jai Hind to everyone. Respected Shri GVV Sharma ji, Member Secretary, National Disaster Management Authority, Shri Devesh Srivastav ji, Chairman and MD GCI, Shri Godbole ji, Secretary General, Insurance Institute of India, and Professor Santosh Kumar, NIDM, and all distinguished participants who have come together today to discuss this important subject. I welcome you all on behalf of National Institute of Disaster Management and III. Financial losses, as we know, they continue to rise, and developing countries have the greatest impacts. It is a great setback to our growing GDP. It sets back our plans for the future by a great amount of time. Hence, it is necessary that we prepare for the future while continuing to battle the present. Even those countries who have a very robust disaster management programs continue to face this problem, how to deal with the cash crunch, how to ensure that the person who's affected, that poor man who's affected, is able to get back on his feet, and is able to get back on his feet in a much better way. The concept of build back better, as given in the Sendai framework and in the Sustainable Development Goals as one of the priority target areas, is to be achieved. That the person not only has to spend more to get back on his feet, but also that should be sustainable, and that should be able to withstand the next disaster if it comes, if it strikes him, unfortunately. So this is a challenge in which disaster risk reduction is now finding its feet on the financial aspect. We have had major changes in our policy. In 2005, the Disaster Management Act which came out, it spoke about mitigation fund, but somehow that could not find success. Then Flexi Fund, and recently the 15th Finance Commission has given a lot of impetus to this aspect and allocated 80% of the budget to the SDRFs, 20% to the SDMAs, and within the SDRF also they have allocated various sectors which can be interchangeable if required. But the issue is the kitty for the development projects as brought out by Shri Godbole ji is the same. If someone has to spend or divert any amount of finances towards disaster risk reduction, it might be at the cost of development sector. In case that diversion is for construction, then it can still be counted against a development sector, but when it goes into paying some victim some money to start his livelihood, to start his business, then it is over and above the planned estimate of the state, and hence there is a need to bring both the states and the governments and the private collaborators and the insurance companies together to discuss how we can share this risk, how this risk can be transferred, and everyone gets the due, so that finally that poor man who has been affected is able to get back on his feet, which I said earlier. I am coming back to it. But if that is at the back of our mind, that whatever discussion we do today is finally the person who's going to receive it is that poor man, and is it going to him or not, and in what amount, and in what capacity it is going to him. If that is kept at the back of mind while we are carrying out our discussions here, I think we will come out with a viable, pragmatic and implementable solutions. We have had similar workshops in 2013, 2017 as part of the national platform. This year also, this particular event, we are conducting it just before the national platform on disaster risk reduction is to be conducted in May, with the aim that the lessons learnt in those two workshops, the recommendations of the previous two workshops, it has been given to you in that flyer which we have supplied today. We go ahead from that. That was more on a drawing stage. Now we have to go into a execution stage, and that is the aim of this workshop. So finally, it all boils down to coming out with a solution as to who pays the premium and who bears the cost. And that is the question which we will be deliberating today, and how it can be achieved today whole day. With this, I thank first of all Insurance Institute of India for allowing us to collaborate with them for conducting this important workshop, which is the core of disaster management schemes, programs of the country and all over the world, and assisting us in every way possible to make this particular program a grand success. I once again thank all the participants for coming here, and I am looking forward to a very energetic and a fruitful discussions today. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindal sir, for your inaugural address and setting the tone for the day, because it's very important to understand the context in which this seminar is happening, this workshop, what kind of deliberation are happening. And now I would like to welcome Professor Santosh Kumar, Professor and Head Governance and Financial Resilience for NIDM. Before sir take over, let me share with you that this workshop is the brainchild of Santosh Kumar sir. He is driving it from the front, I may say that, and sir is taking lot of interest. So welcome sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Honorable Chairperson, Member Secretary Sri GVV Sharma, National Disaster Management Authority, Government of India. Our Honorable guest, Sri Srivastav from GCI, Mr. Godbole from the III, and Sri Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal from the National Institute of Disaster Management, Executive Head of the institution. All the distinguished delegates, those who have come from the insurance companies, representing reinsurance companies, different corporate sectors, and also various state governments. We have the dignitaries sitting there, Mr. P.N. Rai from the member of the Bihar State Disaster Management Authority, principal secretaries from the state, they are here. And all the interested invitees, which we have given invitation, and they have responded it very overwhelmingly. Indeed, this is a very important workshop. We have seen in the disaster management, country is struggling for building financial resilience. Many a times which we have found that in the disaster management system, over the years since 2005 onwards, we have been able to put up a system for disaster management, whether we talk about ex ante system or ex post facto system, in terms of setting up a National Disaster Response Force, National Disaster Management Authority, State Disaster Management Authorities, and also District Disaster Management Authorities. All these authorities and envisaged in the National Act of Disaster Management, they are supposed to do certain things which is leading to the building resilience and least of impact of the disaster on the people of India. On the contrary, what is happening, that one part we have been able to take this forward very much in terms of building institutional system, but when it comes to the financial losses which are occurring, we have not been able to address so far. So that was the basic concern that we started. When I was working with the World Bank in 2001, we submitted a report to Government of India, where we found that India is losing 2% of the GDP per annum as a financial loss due to disasters. And during that time when this report came, and after that we are seeing this, that it has gone exponentially high, the impact of disasters. But unfortunately, we have not been able to address those issues that remain uncovered. But the constant hammering from the government is also the concern of the government, that how to build this gap and how to bridge this gap in terms of, as ED and IDM has mentioned about the building back better. A lot of huge financial requirements in the post-disaster scenario as well. One for the relief and also addressing post-disaster long-term recovery. So in this context, we wanted to look at who all are the stakeholders who can help us and how we can join hands together. What are the experience from other countries? So that we can think of and collate here and this learning in one-day workshop and try to give certain recommendations which may go to the policy level. As Mr. Bindal also mentioned about, that we have circulated a flyer, this flyer, in which we have discussed this particular issue at length with the similar kind of audiences, where the interface happened with the finance ministry, interface happened with the disaster managers, insurance industries, reinsurance industries. And a lot of recommendations have been made. You see this two-pager. And we have also put up the best practices, what is happening, a few best practices, not I'm saying that all, which have been taken at NetCat related issues. Now we are thinking that how we can move forward, and that's what this collaborative partnership which we thought of, bringing III on the floor and also bringing all the insurance partners in the country and across the country, those who are working, then they can bring and simulate. Couple of things which definitely I would highlight from the I will just read it out and you can refer. The summary number 1, which is going to build event hazards model specific to the country after taking inputs with different government departments and other organizations for disaster risk financing and risk transfer. Risk pooling may be done based on geography. We also need to regroup insurance based on geography, vulnerability, climate change, hazard zones, etc. Then we have the claim settlement could be done on the production of any of the following proof of residences: ration card, electricity bill, mobile bill. That time Aadhaar card was not there, so it is not mentioned about the Aadhaar card. So the insurance companies could make use of technology and satellite imagery to assess losses arising out of natural catastrophe. So just I read it few, like sir, we can think of how that can be taken up in an institutional framework. And from here we should get a clear-cut draft, an action plan, which we distributed amongst the policymaker. We have National Disaster Authority Member Secretary CGVV Sharma is an apex person of the disaster management in the country, and we also have the state apex person sitting in the room, and we also have the apex person sitting in the room from the insurance industries. So this is a very good collation time, that how we can think of taking this forward when next we meet for this workshop in the national platform, which is happening in the month of May. The deliberations would bring some concrete action plan by that time, or based on these recommendations. So we are very much positive in terms of the kind of representation have come from different parts of the country and different organizations. Definitely we are moving ahead in this way, and we would have like to have this blessings from NDMA, that how NDMA can think of taking up and give that clear-cut direction. As she mentioned, Professor Rachana, that Dr. P.K. Mishra was also had to come, but due to some unavoidable circumstances which cropped up last evening. So he has just regretted and conveyed his best wishes. I wish to convey his best wishes on behalf of that. And definitely he has mentioned that he would like to see the proceedings also, that so we will submit this to the NDMA, and from there it will go as a kind of. So with this, once again, I would like to welcome on behalf of the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, National Disaster Authority, National Institute of Disaster Management and Insurance Institute of India, to be the part of us, and we will together we can achieve this agenda for the future. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to invite Mr. Devesh Srivastav, Chairman and Managing Director of GICD.
Thank you, ma'am. Members of the dais, and a very august gathering that I see here before me. Disasters, of course, are not new to us. Possibly we all of us began with the Big Bang. which in itself was the biggest disaster that you can think of, and that's where we have progressed to where we are now. When I talk about insurance, the first and protection that I can think of is from the biblical times when Noah built his ark and gave us protection. But the interesting bit for today's seminar that I see is that we as reinsurers are wallowing in disaster day in and day out. That is our bread and butter. We take upon ourselves all the risks of the world, and you talk about a risk and we are there. You talk about the Harvey, the Irma, the Maria, the big ones that hit the US coast and the Bahamas, we are there. You talk about JB in Japan, we are there. So I think what the Insurance Institute has done today is like a matchmaking thing, that here is a disaster management authority of the government of India which is looking for protection, and here we are waiting in the ranks, willing to offer that help to the government of India, because we have all the expertise that you can think of, and we do think we have a solution at hand, which is just a matter of getting together, putting our heads together and coming out with a solution. To add to this, when we talk about the protection gap, there is a big protection gap that we notice in India. The losses are huge, the economic losses are huge, but unfortunately the insured losses are as minuscule. That obviously stems from the fact that we have a penetration that is below 1% for the non-life industry. I mean, as statistics say, and obviously you can, this is to be verified, but the ballpark figure I recall is that for every 1% increase in penetration, the national GDP goes up by about 0.2 or 0.3%, which is a phenomenal contribution that the insurance industry can make to the economy of the country, and especially as a developing economy, we need more and more of insurance. But to come back to the point that I was trying to make, that here we are willing to offer a solution, and here is the NDMA looking for a solution, and together we can make it happen. That's all that I would like to say here. I think we have a very hectic day ahead in which we have a lot of small talks that we will be making and trying to come to a conclusion. They'll be very exciting, and I'm sure all of us will have a lot of to contribute to this entire end. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing some statistics from insurance side. Now I would like to invite Mr. Venugopal Sharma, sir, Member National Disaster Management Authority and Secretary Government of India, to deliver the keynote address for this event.
Mr. Deepak Godbole, Mr. Devesh Srivastav, Major General Bindal, Professor Santosh Kumar, representatives of IRDA, representatives from state governments, friends from the insurance companies, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very, very important occasion that everybody concerned with disaster risk management and risk transfer solutions have assembled here. But I would also like to state that the same topics which are listed for today were also discussed about 7 years ago, and apparently not much has changed. If you go through the summary of the deliberations which happened at the backdrop of the first national platform for disaster risk reduction, in which I was also a small part in bringing this kind of meeting long back. And if you see the issues which are being listed today, unfortunately, the issues have remained exactly as they are. It also indicates that there is a stiff and irreconcilable or apparently reconcilable approach in the two major partners. One is the disaster management or disaster risk management professionals, and the other is the insurance companies. Somehow these two sets of people do not seem to be working together by proper negotiation for solutions which can be of immense value to the public at large, to the society at large. All of us are aware that Indian people are not habituated to the culture of insurance, and because Indian people are not habituated, therefore not many people go for insurance, and because not many people go for insurance, the insurance companies are not able to deliver in the best possible way, like what happens in many other countries, by having simple and transparent and time-bound mechanisms for claim settlement. And because claim settlement doesn't happen properly, people have a disincentive to go for insurance solutions. Therefore, insurance culture will not develop. Therefore, this is a vicious circle which all of us have together to break. For breaking this vicious circle, there is a great opportunity now available, which my previous speakers have mentioned, that after the 15th Finance Commission recommendations have been accepted by the Union Cabinet, the disaster management, the disaster risk management, whatever have been recommended by the 15th Finance Commission in Chapter 6 of their report for the year 2020-21 have been fully accepted, which means that there is substantive fund now available for both mitigation as well as for different components of the disaster response that is available with the state governments, which was not available earlier. Therefore, this is a correct opportunity for the insurance companies to come forward and indicate in what manner specific packages or specific solutions can be presented. And here I would like to suggest that if it is possible, instead of keeping to generalities of discussion, because all of us need not be convinced that insurance is a good option, all of us are aware, that is why we are here. But in what manner specific proposals can be made, and if specific proposal is made, let us say for poultry sector or for let us say housing areas, what would be the premium, and for getting that premium, what could be the different solutions, and how those solutions can be attempted. If in concrete terms, if that discussion happens, then maybe it will be helpful, because state governments and the representatives of the disaster management fraternity can understand how much would be the financial implication if part of the premium can be supported by the state, and whether if part support can be made, how much it is, and what kind of transparent and accountable mechanisms for claim settlement can be brought about. So this requires a patient approach, a reconciliatory approach on part of all. So I would expect that if today's deliberations, if this opportunity is taken, and insurance companies also can come forward with specific announcements or specific discussions for the schemes, and if the disaster management authorities also can see that for poultry sector or for housing sector or for different sectors. And here I would like to mention that somebody has mentioned in the today's session that the poor people require insurance. But I would also like to add that there are many critical infrastructure, very big companies and very, very important sectors who are financially strong. Those assets are also getting dismantled and they are getting devastated due to cyclones and due to number of disasters. So it is not that only the poor require the risk coverage. There are cutting across the society, including critical infrastructure. You have to find risk transfer mechanisms and those solutions. And I hope that this workshop will provide opportunity for all of us to bring together and come towards a meaningful solution, based on which, based on the deliberations of this workshop, the chairman, IRDA and I would be in a position to see if any of these decisions can be concretized in form of specific decisions by the government. So I once again thank NIDM for having taken initiative for this meeting, and I look forward to meaningful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your keynote address. let me share something with you that recently we did some research, Insurance Institute of India did some research on disaster management for Mumbai flood, and that time what we found out was very interesting. What sir was saying, that there is lot of work which is happening in disaster management. Insurance sector is doing something, BMC is doing something, even state government and NIDM of course is doing lot of work, but we all are working in silos and we are not aware of what other person is doing, and we never tried to work together or marry the activities we are doing. So we thought that this is the right platform where we should bring out what we found out, because while doing this research, we actually went to all these agencies and got some detail. So we came out with some research on that called as Challenges in Insuring Flood Prone Areas for Mumbai. It was a study jointly done by Insurance Institute of India and GIC Re. GIC Re always conduct various kind of study for the benefit of insurance industry, because they believe that they need to do something for direct insurance industry, and this is something they always try to give back to insurance industry. So I will like to request Mr. GVV Sharma sir, Bindal sir and Devesh Srivastav sir to formally release that report, the study what we are talking about. So team, I will request team to bring that, and in the meantime I will also request Dr. George Thomas. It is co-authored by myself and Dr. George Thomas to join on the stage.